Right, Simon, over to you.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, we'll crack on because it's nearly coming up to 5 minutes past. So hello and welcome to everyone. My name's Simon King. I'm one of the relationship managers here at Active Essex, and pleased to be bringing you this session on Kickstart. Really pleased to have Hannah and Joe with us from Essex County Council, who Hannah heads up the team that are looking after Kickstart, and Joe works as part of that team as well. We're going to go over, they've got a short presentation they're going to deliver and go over, hopefully flagging and bringing to life the Kickstart scheme, how it works as part of the Essex County Council scheme, also how people can get involved, a bit around the criteria. I've already had some questions via email around are we eligible, etc. So hopefully we can clear up any of those sort of questions as we go through today. If you have any questions as we're going through, please pop them in the chat and then we will come to them later on. And then we will go to a Q&A session once the presentation has been delivered. So I guess that just leaves me to say, for those that have just joined, we are recording this session. So please, if you don't want to be on camera, then please turn your camera off. Hannah and Joe, I will hand over to you.
Thank you, Simon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate having you here and having the chance to present what Essex County Council is providing around the Kickstart programme. My name's Hannah Copel and I'm the project manager for the project. We have a team of Kickstart officers working in my team for employers and young people coming onto the scheme. We will talk a bit more about that as we go through and what the team does. So I'll hand over to Jo just to introduce herself as well. Thank you.
Hi everyone, yeah, I'm part of the Kickstart team. Yeah, my name's Jo and I will look forward to doing the presentation.
Thanks, Jo. So I'm just going to share my screen. Please do tell me if this doesn't work or does work. Because we're actually used to using Microsoft Teams, so I'm not sure what I'll be able to see once I share, but just bear with me while I get that prepared. Okay, can everybody see that okay?
Yeah, that's there.
Is that okay? I'm just going to go on to the full slide show. Okay, is that better? Is that okay?
Yeah, all good.
Excellent, thank you. And as Simon said, you know, if there are, obviously there's bound to be questions, so we're happy, Simon and Holly are going to sort of monitor the chat for us, so we'll get to those as we go through, and obviously at the end we'll have a Q&A as well. I think it would be really useful once I've sort of gone through the presentation for Jo to sort of maybe talk about some of the work that the officers do in a bit more detail in terms of the work with the employers today. So just to introduce really, we at Essex County Council have been appointed as what's called a Kickstart Gateway organisation. You may or may not have heard of this, so I apologise if you know about this, but just for the benefit of those that don't, this is an organisation and it can be public sector, private sector, so there's lots of kind of training providers, there's some charities, there's quite a few local authorities, there's some recruitment agencies who are acting as Kickstart gateways. And what that means is that we provide support to employers and to young people and are that kind of middleman, if you like, between applications from employers into the DWP to be a Kickstart employer, and then supporting along the way through the placements. Excuse me. So just for your benefit, just a brief overview of Kickstart, really, for those that aren't familiar with it. Excuse me. The Chancellor first announced the Kickstart scheme back in summer last year. This was as a response to the economic crisis that was facing the country as a result of COVID-19, of course. And we know that young people are unfortunately going to be hardest hit economically and in regard to opportunity by the pandemic. A lot of the time that's because when jobs and the labour market kind of reduces, employers kind of have a lot more jurisdiction over the candidates, and young people are not necessarily experienced or qualified in the way that other people may be, and they often unfortunately get less opportunity at that point. So it's a £2 billion funding pot, and this is looking to create high quality 6-month work placements for young people. So the placement within your organisation and is a job, so the job placement would be fully funded by the government for 25 hours a week, and the NI contributions would be made as well, and it's funded at national minimum wage. So we are looking at kind of the more entry level part of the market, really. So there's also a grant that's paid to employers on top of the wage contribution, well, fully funded wages, to cover training and support for young people as well. So that's paid out. And the young people need to be unemployed at the point that they come onto Kickstart. So there will be young people who are on universal credit and who are working with the DWP, and the DWP will make referrals to jobs that the Gateway will create. It's voluntary, so they're not mandated to do it by the DWP. They're not told they have to do it, and it's something they're offered. So it's young people 16 to 24. And the scheme will be in operation until December 2021, which means that you can submit jobs up until December. So the last intake of opportunities will be in December. So I know that some employers, are finding out about the scheme now. It may be something that they'd like to sort of do later in the year. It might not be a right now thing, or it might be. But just so you're aware that it doesn't have to be immediate, that if you want to kind of create an opportunity, it can be sort of any time up to December. So initially there has been some policy change on Kickstart from a DWP perspective. Initially, employers with more than 30 placements, which is quite rare, although we have got employers that have actually come through us who've got more than 30 placements, but predominantly it's sort of smaller employers. But if an employer has 30 or more placements, initially they could either go through a gateway or go directly. Initially, employers with fewer than 30 placements would only go through a gateway. They'd have to go through a gateway. They did change the rules back in February to say any employer can go direct. So we have to make people aware of that you can apply directly to the GWP. Lots of employers still want to go through a gateway. They want that support. They want that kind of third party involved. They want the ongoing support package that we provide that doesn't come at a cost currently to them. So it is down to employer choice as to how they want to proceed with Kickstart. As I said, we're a gateway. Our project's called Kickstart Essex. We are recruiting employers at the moment. We've had a really positive response from employers. We've got a lot of employers on board and they're still coming through. We've had some young people start this week and on their placements with employers, and more starting sort of throughout the month and beyond, really. So we're really pleased that things are kicking off. If you do come through us, and again, as I say, that is your choice, if you do have opportunities, how you want to proceed. We have secured internal funding for our team, so that we can provide ongoing support to the business, or to the employer and the young person throughout the 6 months. It also means you'll receive the full £1,500 grant that's associated with this, to spend on the training and support for the young person, and we can advise you and support you on where you might procure that from, if appropriate. So we seconded a team of highly experienced and qualified staff over from the Essex County Council Youth Service, of which Jo is one of them, who are very used to working with young people, very used to working with employers, very experienced in delivering really high quality information, advice and guidance. So we would allocate you a Kickstart officer to support you through the application process and through the placement, and they'd also be in touch with the young person as well. Jo, is there anything you wanted to add at that point around kind of what you've been doing as an officer?
Yeah, so we have been liaising with businesses and just dealing with the process as soon as they've sort of come on board, really. Yeah, and just finding out what exactly they're looking for job-wise, how many young people they'd like to recruit, and just really building on that relationship with the business. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. No, that's working pretty well. Yeah, we're very busy, it's fair to say. But yes, no, it's we've got some, we've managed to create some fantastic opportunities with businesses that we're working with, and really guide them through the process. And I think they've found it really helpful to have a named contact for support. And we've been learning along the way, because obviously this program's all new to us and to businesses and to the DWP. So it's very much kind of a learning process for all of us. But we're really pleased to where we've got to so far. We've got currently 149 jobs live with the DWP. We've got about another 167 in the pipeline, just being sort of sorted through their various application stages. We'd like to get to 500 before December, which we're very much on track to do. And as I say, we'd love to sort of have some more of your information, and offer you guys the opportunity to register your interest as well. So just to give you a bit more detail on the steps that we go through in regard to the application process. So you'll see our email address, our central email address on the screen now. I'm sure if you wanted to obviously take that detail down, or Simon and Holly could possibly send that over to you. We will take a contact from you, and an inquiry, and that will be allocated to one of our Kickstart officers to start working with you on your application, or contact you to answer any further questions you might have, or discuss anything you'd like to raise in relation to this. So if you want to go ahead, you'll be asked to complete some paperwork, around kind of a bit about your business, a bit about what opportunity you'd like to offer, etc. We then share that information with the DWP. They go through a Cabinet Office kind of check process. So it's a sort of like a spotlight check, they call it. So what they are looking for is employers to be registered with Companies House where appropriate, and where needed. Obviously, the public sector is a bit different. That's mandatory at the moment, that any employer that wants to come on Kickstart will need to be registered with Companies House. We don't know if that policy may change in the future, but that is a prerequisite at the moment. There will also be a kind of financial check done to make sure that there's viability for this, and for you to have a government-funded Kickstarter on board. We don't have any details about what that financial check is. Most people don't have a problem. I think it's, but that's all done at Whitehall, central government, and so we don't have any dealings with that. We just get the feedback. So once you're approved, you then, in the meantime, while you're doing your checks, we help you sort of compile a job description for your opportunity, or plural maybe. Some people have more than one. And we get that sent off to the DWP with your employer agreement, and that vacancy will be live on their system, and work coaches and job coaches at the DWP will be sharing those opportunities with eligible young people on their caseloads, of which we think there's around 10 to 12,000 young people in Essex who are potentially eligible for this. So yes, there's quite a lot of young people needing this as well. You will then be contacted by the DWP, so you'll be sent over kind of candidates for you to consider. You'll go through your own recruitment processes, so you'll be fully in control of the recruitment side. You can interview people, obviously, look at CVs, make your decisions. If you don't find a suitable candidate, you can go back and ask for more CVs to be sent over. So you're fully in control of that. We're not just referred someone and you have to take them or anything like that. And then you will discuss the start date, really. We will then provide ongoing support. So it really is having that single point of contact. So Joe or one of our other team members will be involved through the application process that I've just described, but then also then to be sort of check in with yourselves and the young person throughout the placement, just to ensure that the support, really, just to see if there's any signposting we can do. I think in the vast majority of cases that, it will be everything's going great, no issues, we're providing support, and, employers will want to do their own kind of work and support with the young person. So we're just there to add anything supplementary that's felt would be useful. We'll be able to provide wide range of signposting opportunities. So if you wanted us to help you find some training for the young person or some other support, we can do that, no problem. We'll help you with thinking about what training and support might be useful for the young person, signposting, as I said, and what we'd really love to be able to do is to see that once the placement comes to an end, that the young person's supported into something for the longer term. There isn't anything that would mandate you to keep them on beyond the initial Kickstart period. Lots of employers do have that in mind as a potential. I should have said before that the job that you create will need to be a new job. within your organisation. So it can't be kind of replacing somebody who's been made redundant or you know, a job that's already filled, etc. It needs to be a kind of new opportunity that's just so that they can make sure that this is something unique for Kickstart, really. And you know, whether that's within your organisation and you make the decision to offer something permanent, which again, as I say, you're not mandated to do, but I think lots of employers would potentially look at that, depending on whether it's appropriate. Or we support you and the young person to think about where they could go next and find something suitable. And gonna leave it at that. I'll leave the those contact details there for you. If you'd like to take them down, you've got my contact details and our central Kickstart email address as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. We've got a few questions that have come up in the chat as we've been going through. So if I just go through those ones first. So the first one has been around, obviously, lots of businesses, etc., have been working from home and having to work from home. If the young person's expected to do a similar sort of thing, has that been an issue with anyone so far?
Not that, well, we've only had, we're very new, the service is very new, so we're only just getting our first few young people starting at the moment, but there's nothing to say that you couldn't offer an opportunity that's a working from home opportunity, or that would be an issue. It would just be a case of, I guess, ensuring that, so we all work remotely at the moment and may continue to do in the future. So when we're offering support, we're doing that via remote means. And we will continue to, even if we go back into the office, we'll still be working with you kind of remotely, if you like. But no, there's, I think as long as sort of appropriate support's in place, which I'm sure it would be, then quite a few of our opportunities are working from home opportunities. So. Brilliant.
The next one is around, so as a registered charity, are they able to apply?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So similar to as Companies House, I guess, if it's a registered charity.
Yeah, it's where it's, yeah. So if it would be registered charity, or no, we've got quite a few charities on board. We've got not a problem.
Brilliant. Next one. If we already know the young person and we'd like to offer the opportunity to, is it possible for them to be included in interviews?
So they would have to be on universal credit under a job coach. So if they're not, then they wouldn't be eligible. If they are, because we have had a couple of cases of this, they would have to go through their job coach at the DWP to register their interest in the opportunity and ask to apply. So if this young person is in that position, you can advise them at the appropriate point to speak to their job coach about the opportunity you're putting forward at that point, and then they can apply through them.
Brilliant. The next one you answered around, do the placements have to be a new job role to the organisation? So we said yes, that is the case. It shouldn't be replacing or duplicating current position. Can schools be involved as part of the as they're part of the public sector? So as an employer.
We haven't had this, but we have. I would have thought so. It's just you'd obviously have to think about the vetting process that you would need to undertake for that person, but I'm sure you would do that as part of your job offer. So there's no reason why not at all. Here at Essex County Council, we're actually, I should have said this before, sorry, we're actually having nearly 100 Kickstarters within our own organisation, as well as the external program that I'm managing for external employers. So we've taken on, we're going to be, well, we've got our nearly 100 jobs, and I think actually Essex are having someone, aren't you?
Potentially, yeah, we're in discussions at the moment, yeah.
So yeah, there's no reason why not. No reason why not.
Brilliant. So next one was around support for the young person to apply. Yep. So again, as Hannah mentioned, they would need to be on universal credit and working with a job coach at the DWP to then refer or request to go for any application through Kickstart.
Yeah.
Another one is the 1,500 for training the young person in addition to the cost of wages being paid by the Kickstart scheme.
Yes, it is.
Brilliant. Yep. So again,
it's like a separate grant that's paid on top of the wages that are covered.
Brilliant. Something actually, Hannah, that's just reminded me to bring up. Also, the employer would need to be able to subsidise the wages up front until they receive their payments, wouldn't they? And it can take up to 3 months for that payment to come through. Is that around right?
We're still in discussion on that, so I won't be able to say exactly on the timescales at the moment because we haven't received the full sort of guidance. I've got a meeting after this actually to try and iron that out. I don't think I have to come back to you and clarify that point. Okay. So just bear with me, and once I get some feedback on that, I'll email Simon with that information.
Thank you. Thank you. Can the job placement be for less than 25 hours a week?
No, I don't think it can. I think I'm not, I would have to double check that. But as far as I'm aware, it has to be, it's 25 hours a week. But we haven't had that question come up as yet. So, because obviously the DWP set the policy on this, not ourselves. So I haven't had that one come up. So I'll have to come back on that.
Brilliant. And just to say, with any of those questions that we haven't been able to provide answers with today, what we will do is when we share out the recording, etc., we'll try to collate those questions and we can put them with that so we can answer any of those. We've had a question regarding being based in Southend. And whether they could come in our scheme or whether they would need to apply to Southend, and whether Southend are running as a gateway.
Southend are running as a gateway. Southend Council are. I have had, I think the volumes that they're dealing with are not as large as ours, but you'd expect that because we're a larger, much larger authority and much bigger population. So it really is down to employer choice as to where you want to go, and maybe it would be a case of you can come through us if you wish. We will work with you, but you could also see what Southend are offering and see if that would be something that you prefer to be involved in, because I think all gateways are probably offering something slightly different in terms of support, and I think councils probably be quite similar in terms of the investment and support and the expertise that's on offer, but it would be a case of you just seeing which would be the most appropriate for you, really.
Brilliant. And I guess the other part to that question was around, would you get candidates from Southend applying? But I guess they would come through their local DWPs, and so that's how the jobs would be advertised. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Next one was around the national minimum wage and national living wage relative to the age of the person. Do you know off the top of your head what the wage rates are? If not, we can put that in the questions, because it does change depending on their age, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I think there's Have you got that information, Joe?
I will have a look. Isn't it from sort of £5 to £8 or 5 to?
Yeah. Can you just have a look up for that, Joe? I think I wouldn't have that exact figures off the top of my head. I believe it's. I mean, this is not going to be the living wage. So this is going to be because they're obviously two slightly different things. This is going to be the national minimum wage that's paid to you for the wages. And I think there's a slightly different tariff, as you said, for under 18s, 18 to 21, I think it is, and then I think it from 21 onwards, I think it's the full wage, as far as I know.
Sort of 18 plus £4.62, 19, a bit more, 18 to 20, £6.56, 21 to 22, £8.36.
That's it, yeah. I knew it was £8.91 for overs, yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Next one is so we've had is there a list of placements that have gone out already that could be shared with organisations as examples of the types of roles and things that they've had?
We wouldn't be able to share that detail. I'd like to know sort of, you mean job, do you mean sort of job description example?
I guess so, from looking at this,
right.
But again, I guess this is something that if they wanted to pursue further, they could pick up with your team and sort of look at that type of thing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So on the 3-month delay, do you then get the 25 hours times 6 months in a lump sum? So with the payments for the wages, do we know how that is drawn down yet, Hannah? Has that been confirmed?
No, that was the question before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
sorry. Was that the question about the intervals?
Yes, so around, I guess, so this is around, and obviously it was me that said, was it 3-month delay? But whenever they get that payment, is it that the government would pay 1 month at a time for that placement, or does it come down in the whole 6 months wages to the employer?
We're still trying to get that exact information through from the DWP at the moment.
Okay, brilliant.
So we will have to come back to you on that. We think it may be in 2-month intervals, but I'd love to be able to give you the full answer on that, but it is something we're pursuing, getting some feedback on from the DWP.
Okay, brilliant. And then opposite to the question around, can it be less than 25 hours? Can the placement be more than 25 hours?
It can be, but the employer would need to fund the rest of those hours. So
brilliant.
We have had cases where they have wanted to do that.
Okay, fantastic.
Simon, just come in. That links to a question just on the same kind of scale someone's said around kind of the rates being paid at a national minimum wage. Someone's asked around, like, for instance, could an 18-year-old be paid more? And I guess, again, that would be fine. But again, that would be for the employer to take on that additionality. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Simon,
there's one here just around how long will the job placement be funded for? And that's that 6-month period, isn't it? How many placements can one organisation apply for?
There's not really a limit, to be honest. It's however many you wish to. I mean, we've got employers who've got, quite a substantial number. Haven't been told there's any limit. I think if you were, if you were going really high, it might be potentially more beneficial to go direct, because it would be down to us really as a team as to whether we've got the capacity to manage something that was really, really big. But we would have that conversation with you. It really does depend on how many it is and whether we could support that. But we have got employers that have got quite a few on our books.
Brilliant. And then I think the final one that I can see at the moment, do you have to be a certain size organisation to apply, or can small organisations apply?
No, small organisations apply. They're not can apply. Sorry, they're not taking sort of sole traders at the moment. So you have, as I say, you have to register with Companies House as a company, basically. So you wouldn't be able to on that basis, but that could change at some point. But no, you can be any size you wish.
Brilliant, thank you. So I think we've been through as many of the questions as we can. I think, as I said, we are recording this, so we will share this. We'll also share the slides, which has obviously got the Kickstart Essex email and Hannah's email. If any questions, if you go away from this and think, oh, I should have asked this, I wanted to know that, again, please get in touch either via the Active Essex team or the Kickstart Essex email, and we'll get a response to you. And as I say, once we've got the answers to the questions that we've not been able to provide today, we'll also make sure that they're put up and shared on our website. Okay, so thank you, Hannah and Joe, for your time today. Thank you, and hopefully it was useful for all the participants. And as I say, if any questions come up, then please get in touch with us.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
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 Bye.